Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to go over the trades that we took on Friday as well as the game plan going into this week. So this is what we looked like on Friday. We pull up the 30-minute contracts, or the Friday contracts on a 30-minute. You guys know this tells us the trend in the market. It's very simple to understand. If the 10's above the 50 on one of the Friday contracts, that means we have trend in the market. So last week, the puts ended up crossing and we were bearish, and we're only focused on short setups. So on Friday, I took a pretty solid trade. So since this 30-minute chart here is cross bearish, we got that massive gap down on Friday, and obviously this chart ended up being a little bit overextended. We ended up pulling back a bit on these contracts, which made us pump a bit, but we were able to catch some downside. So if we go here on the 0-day charts, this is what gives us the entries. I'm always pretty much taking a trade off of the 0-day chart. Like maybe a small percentage of the time it will be off of the 30-minute. Maybe if I'm playing like a 30-minute reject or a 30-minute bounce on the 50, but like 90% of the time my entries come from these charts right here, 0DT chart. It's just very, very simple to understand. We're pretty much just buying this 50 SMA bounce down in here. So obviously off of the open, one of the main trades that we do take is a 0-day cross, and this is one of those instances where you do not take a cross when it looks like this. When there's a big overnight move and the contracts are crossing off of open, this happens quite a bit, and this is a trade you want to stay away from. This is never a trade I would be taking. So we're getting this weird extended cross on 0-day chart off of open, pretty much just waiting for a dip to the 50 to take a short. We got the dip to the 50 down here at 10:45. I scaled in some on this move down in here because we were really overextended. So contracts were at 2.60, 50 SMAs all the way at like 0.50, so that is a pretty big move needed to get down to the 50. So I ended up scaling in on these dips down in here. I forget what my first entry was, but it was one of these wicks down in here, and then I just added some more as we got closer to the 50, and yeah, we got a nice bounce off of here. So 0.60 all the way up to 1.21. You probably could have got filled anywhere from like 0.80 to whatever that low is, like 0.60. So I scaled in some on NQ, and got a good move out of this. I forget how many points this went. This went a good move though. Definitely caught over 50. That was like the only trade that I really did take on Friday. Really wasn't anything else to take a trade off of, because you guys know market's trending bearish, so we're only focused on the short side. So we got this nice 50 bounce. That's all you needed for the day. After that, I mean, we did come down to the 50 again, broke below it. Usually, when we get these big overnight moves, that does happen. A lot of the times we come down to 50, get the initial bounce, and it does break below. It was kind of a weird trend because it happened overnight. Like we got a big overnight move because of news, and obviously the 0-day chart gave out, and there's nothing to take after we got this 50 dip right here. I usually don't like buying the 50 dip again when we come back down to it. If you could have tried it, if you want, you would have probably taken a small loss if you bought it at the 50, closed, hit it at 0.62, closed under at 0.54. So if you tried it again, it would have been a small loss anyways. And then once we lose the 50, you just wait for it to get across again to take another short. We never got the cross again, so there's no other entry to take. And then when we flip to the call side, this is what we looked like over here. Just a funky chart. I mean, when the 50 does look like this, it's just not high quality to take. But if you did for some reason take this, I mean, you could have squeezed out some points, but I don't think I would have been doing that. If you look at the 30-minute chart on the put side, this is what we looked like. So if we pull up the 30-minute chart on the puts, obviously we were coming down into this 50 SMA towards the end of the day. I'm pretty sure these aren't the contracts that we had. I forget what the exact contracts were because I feel like we actually hit the 50 SMA. I'm going to pull up the Discord real quick because I do think we had the wrong contracts. I think it was the 570. Okay, yeah, it was the 570 puts, not the 580s is what we had on watch. So it was actually the 570s, if I could get these up. Yeah, so we came down to the 50 SMA pretty much to a T. Not really to a T, but I mean, what is that, like 10% on the contracts? That's close enough to the 50, and it started to bounce. And this close was very, very bearish. I'm not gonna lie. I'm expecting a move lower, but with how we moved yesterday, or today I guess it is, on Memorial Day, futures were up quite a bit, I think like 1%. So I'm not exactly sure how the rest of the movement's gonna go overnight into Tuesday open, but like this chart is super bearish. Obviously, if we get a gap up, I mean, these contracts are gonna be destroyed, and they're probably gonna break below the 50. Maybe we get a neutral market or something like that this week, since it's a short week. But I mean, the main thing to look for this week is just watch the 30-minute chart. If this chart goes negative, market's going to be neutral. Most likely we're going to get a move higher. Also, it depends on the contracts. We might get different contracts because we did get a gap up, and if there's a move bigger, like a bigger move overnight, that'll change the contract. So all really depends on what contracts we get. again, 30-minute chart. If we see this chart cross still, market will be bearish. I don't think it will be because of that move that happened today. So most likely, I'm guessing it's gonna be a neutral market. What do we look for in a neutral market? Just a 0DT cross on the 0-day chart on either side. So what do I mean by that? It's simple. Just this chart right here. The 5-minute time frame's got to get a cross going like this. 10 going above the 50. 50's got to be curled up. What I mean by that, again, this 50 SMA cannot be sloped down how it is here. That's not a valid cross. You wait for the curl to happen, which would happen in this area, and that's what you're going to be looking for going into this week. If we're neutral, if we're trending bearish still for some reason, then you're just going to be looking for a 0-day cross on the put side or a negative cross on the call side. So a negative cross would be something like this, 10 going below the 50 on the call side. It's very simple. All we do with this strategy is just playing 10 above the 50 or 10 going below the 50. It's very, very simple. Again, 50 SMA on the initial cross has to be up, and then it's vice versa on the negative cross. So when 10's going below the 50, it cannot be sloped up like up in here. How it, it's curling down right here. That's how you want it to be. 10's got to be, curling down or somewhat flat. It cannot be sloped up when you're taking that negative cross. So that's a refresher of how you want to be taking these crosses and how they work. It's not just the 10 going above the 50. You got to see how that 50 SMA looks as well. So that's pretty much the plan going into this week. I really, the charts did look very, very bearish going into Friday close, which I really wish the Bears were going to keep this alive. It could still happen, but with the move that happened today, I don't think that will be the case because I did swing some puts. Obviously nothing crazy because 3-day weekend, so that means data is just going to kill the contracts even more. It is an overnight swing. I usually don't go heavy on swings overnight anyways, so yeah, I'm probably going to be opening up red on those quite a bit, but it was only a few $100s worth, so is what it is. We'll catch something next week. Hopefully we get that 0-day cross tomorrow and catch something good. So that's pretty much the plan going into this week. If you guys got any questions, drop a comment down below. Join Discord if you want to learn. Simplest way out there to trade. That's all I got. I'm out. Peace.